we have the current stock market update for Super Microcomputer Incorporated, stock ticker SMCI. Before we begin with today's chart analysis, if you find these educational materials to be helpful, please remember to click the like and subscribe buttons and leave your thoughts in the comments section below so that other traders can find this information more easily on the platform. So as we can see here, this is the 1 hour price chart. Each candle on this time frame represents a 1 hour trading period. And currently the stock is attempting to find some support here right around the $45 level. We have seen some brief spikes below there. The current low comes in at 44.62. So we are starting to come into a bit closer contact now with this 44.10 support zone that we have been watching for quite some time. This was a fairly significant area of support previously, so we will be looking to see if we're able to find a bounce right around that area, because this break below that $45 mark does sort of threaten the possibility here that we could start to see share prices trade in those lower 40s. So overall, on these shorter term timeframes, I would have to say that we're starting to get a bit of a head and shoulders pattern that is starting to develop here. We can just sort of draw this out quickly, because this more recent price top here, it's a bit of a double top resistance zone, and then you are starting to see a right shoulder that starts to form as well. So, currently, this has now broken to the downside. So we will need to see if share prices continue to trade heavily in this manner, because if we do see share prices break below that, that would then project a price target that would be equal to the size of the head of the pattern to the neckline of the pattern, which would be right around here. So this could suggest that share prices start to move back right into those lower 40s. So this is starting to be what the chart pattern is starting to look like at the moment. So I don't think that all is lost yet necessarily. We do have some negative indicator readings though that do need to be pointed out. We can sort of look at this area here. But at the same time, we can go a bit further back here and look at some of the longer term readings, which are still positive. So overall, I do think that this is just sort of a brief price movement to the downside. And the real question at this point will just be how much further is this likely to extend? Do we really believe that share prices will move below that $40 mark? I would be curious to hear what people have to think about that, how much further we think that share prices can move from here. Because there are some conflicting signals at the moment in terms of the trading momentum. For the most part, the bullish reading is longer term. So this is a bit more powerful than the shorter term reading, which is found here. The slope that's on this downtrend line is also a bit more drastic, and the relative strength index reading itself is starting to force its way into that area. So it really wouldn't take much of an upward price movement here at this point to break that downtrend momentum. And I do think that that sort of aligns with the overall picture here, because I have a hard time believing that share prices are likely to move much lower without some sort of news catalyst. I think that we will need to see some sort of news stories that are developing, in relation to that Hindenburg report or to the Department of Justice investigation. So I do think that one of those two types of factors can have an effect. But the news on that front has been fairly quiet recently. We really haven't heard much. So the real question is how much further share prices can start to extend. It's starting to look as though we could be caught within a bit of a sideways trading range here, and that really wouldn't be a huge surprise, because we have sort of seen that now for quite a while. I mean, ever since share prices sort of broke down to these lower 40s and even into the 30s, this would have occurred at the end of August. So, this entire period of time here, we really have been trading within mostly a sideways trading range. I mean, it did look as though we were about to break above there. These price movements into 50.34, which would be this area here, and then this further price movement into 50.60. We were seeing a trend, a sideways trading range break to the top side, and then in addition to that, we were also getting some higher highs as well. So this was starting to look as though we were breaking to the top side. And if you remember, we were talking about how there's a huge amount of activity here. So in my view, this activity did make it more likely that we were probably going to see a breakout to the top side rather than a failure here. So it is a bit interesting here to see that we got a sort of an incremental movement higher. We slightly broke out of that range, and we did even break above that $50 level, which obviously has psychological significance. But now, obviously, the share price is having some difficulty here, sort of finding its footing. And then we do possibly also have this short term head and shoulders pattern that is now starting to develop. So that this does project, the possibility for share prices to move into the lower 40s, right around 40.90 or so is roughly what this price pattern would project, because it would be equal to the distance between the neck of the neckline of the pattern, which would be roughly here. So the distance between here and the head of the pattern. So this is really what gives us our downside price target, and we are starting to see share prices break below there. So this does suggest that the pattern is currently active. So this is something to watch here. This would only suggest that is a very bearish pattern, but since it's so short term in nature, I mean, this is just an hourly chart, and it's still relatively small within that hourly chart. So, the overall price projection here would really still put us above that $40 level. So overall, it's starting to look like we could be heading into that area. I do think that we have to look at other parts of the market. We're also starting to get a lot of earnings here soon. So that could throw a big wrench in the works for anybody that might be bearish on this stock, somebody that might be short selling the stock perhaps. If we do get some positive news here, maybe that could be the catalyst then to help share prices move forward. But as it currently stands, we do need to see a break above this 50-60 area in order to sort of reinvigorate that uptrend. As we pointed out previously, we have now broken below this major trend line here, this upward trend line that was sort of signifying an ascending triangle pattern. That really did break to the top side. I mean, we saw a break of an ascending triangle pattern and a break of a sideways trading range after a very long period of sideways consolidation right in that area. So, to see significant price movements here, I'm not saying that it would be impossible, but it would be surprising because, the majority of the evidence so far really has sort of pointed to the upside direction. And we haven't seen any new developments yet. I mean, there hasn't been any new negative headlines or anything like that. So, this weakness is a little bit surprising, but that might just be because, we were sort of expecting to see share prices move higher and finally break into that $50 region. So these are the price levels that will be important to watch here going forward. This is the current stock market update for Super Microcomputer, stock ticker SMCI. Our high value trading strategies membership is currently available for a limited time for only $9.99 per month. These high conviction investment strategies are characterized by superior risk to reward metrics that target massive market beating returns over time. Join now to outperform the market. Lock in this special introductory rate of just $9.99 per month for the entire lifetime of your membership and start trading stocks with the pros.